All right, everyone. My students, I want to teach you how to do Blue Sky Memo number 1. So I've created this helpful piece here. This is a clip from Blackboard where you're provided with information about an airline. You're going to be asked to write 4 memos. I used to ask them to write one gigantic memo that covered all these things, but I've now broken the assignment into 4 pieces. So the airline memo number 1 is what this video is about. You'll see that there's things that I want you to download. We're going to be writing memo number 1. There's a training video that you've probably found if you're watching this, as well as the location where you upload your answer, your memo that you write. You're going to need these 4 pieces of information, though, and I'm going to show you how to do that first. This is just some good downloading material to keep things straight and available. So these 4 items that you're going to need can be found when you click on one of them. It's going to ask you to download it. Instead of just downloading it to your download files or some place where you can't find it again, I encourage you to create a folder and create that folder, a new folder, and call it microeconomics folder, for instance, and then you can save, in this case, the Blue Sky Generic Analysis Worksheets in that folder. When you save it in there, then it'll be in that place. When you go to download the other 3 pieces, then the assignment itself and the letterhead for Blue Sky and the memo from Sam, they'll all go into that same location. So then it'll all be there and easy for you to find even after when you're offline or anything like that. You'll also notice that when you download it, they'll appear at the bottom of your screen if you're using a PC. We'll proceed from there. So that way you can find your documents and you can use the same system for organizing your documents and downloads and so forth and other big projects that you do after the class is over. After all, I'm interested not only in how well you do in this class, but how well you do in life after the class is over. So let's proceed. Now, the letterhead is important that you have that as its own document. If you find it with superfluous materials, get rid of everything except for the letterhead itself and the to, from, date, and regarding with that. You're going to be professional. You want to put your best foot forward, and you're going to need the letterhead as its own document. I would save it as the letterhead and then save each document as its own thing. For instance, save it as memo number 1 rather than keeping the name of it as letterhead. You're also going to be using this Excel sheet to analyze everything. So if you don't have Excel on your computer, you can have it for free as a student of mine. Just contact DLHelp through email and you'll see how to use the free Excel virtualware. But I've preloaded some fields in the Excel sheet so that it makes it easy for you to organize and keep track of everything. We'll come back to this in a second. Just want to look at these 4 documents that you're downloading. One of them is a memo from Sam Dranetz, who is the Vice President of Special Projects at Blue Sky Airlines and Mythos Travel. He gives you lots of information in here. You want to look through and read this because there's all sorts of important things in there. I'm saying it's 4 pages, but really it's the memo and then information about each of the aircraft and then some formulas as well as the letterhead as the 4th page. So that's become familiar with that. And then there's the assignment itself, and I put that. That's from me. That's why it's not on Blue Sky letterhead. It's on my letterhead, Microeconomics with me, and I'm letting you know that what I'm expecting from you, and that's what memo number 1 is about. So let's get right into it. Your assignment is to analyze as following. The airline is currently flying the B100 and charging $880 for coach class. Analyze the current profit or loss for the airline and submit your findings. The memo you'll be submitting will probably only be 1 or 2 sentences, but it must be written correctly as well as accurately to receive credit. So, breaking it apart, you're doing the B100, you're looking for an $880 price, you're going to write in the correct memo format, and you have to have the analysis be accurate. So, that sentence sometimes throws students off. It says, if it has to be written correctly as well as accurately, isn't that redundant? And it's not if you say that the format has to be followed correctly and the analysis has to be accurate. Okay, Now, I'm not going to do the work for you. Instead, I'm going to give you a very similar but different scenario. I'm going to keep the fixed cost at $30,000. I'm going to keep it the B100. I'm going to change it from the airline charging $900 instead of $880 like your real assignment, and keeping the variable cost at $60 per customer. I'm changing the market demand for my generic example to 1200 minus 6Q, and in yours it's a different value, but take a look at this example. Nevertheless, you'll learn from it and know how to do it. It's only a slight variation. So 900, 12, those are the two differences between the example that's in this video and the actual assignment that you're going to be submitted. If we want to use an algebraic method, and I'm just doing this for illustration purposes, I really encourage you to use Excel, but I wanted to show you that you could do it algebraically, at least this first memo, to do the analysis. You would take this formula, that price is equal to $1,200 minus 6Q, and figure out how much revenue and cost and passengers and therefore profit or loss you would make if you charge $900. If we just take a look at that number for a second, we see that this market does not permit anyone, there's no demand for this flight if we were to charge higher than $1,200. If we charge less than $1,200, we might get some or many customers buying it. And so we're going to figure out how many customers we get when we charge $900 and how that equates to profit. So we take this price equals 1200 minus 6Q and plug it into it using the price of $900. If $900 equals 1200 minus 6Q, then we can solve for Q by setting 6Q equal to 300 and figure out that there are in fact 50 passengers, because 50 times 6 is 300. Now that we know there's 50 passengers, if we're charging each of those passengers $900 each, then our revenue, which is equal to price times quantity, is $45,000. When we now work in the fixed cost and variable cost, the profit, which is resulting from revenue subtracting the total cost, gives us a profit of, the equation is 45,000 minus 33,000. If you're wondering where the 33,000 comes from, that comes from our fixed cost of 30,000 and our variable cost of $3,000. That is, we have 50 passengers that each cost us $60 a piece to fly. They're paying $900. That's the price. Their cost to fly them to us is an extra $60 each. It's very important that you can keep that straight, right? Cost is a supplier concept. Price is a mutual concept between both buyers and sellers. And then value is a concept of the consumer. Anyway, if we finish out the equation, 45,000 minus 33,000 is 12,000 per flight. That's our current profit. Now, if we want to do the same thing using Excel, we've got up this Excel sheet. I've just taken out a part of it. And into the coach market data, I've said that price is equal to 1200 minus 6Q. That means that if the quantity was 1, that is one customer, then the price that we would have to charge is $1,194, $6 less than 1200. In other words, if we charge $6 less, we would get one more customer. And if we continue this down furthermore, we'll see that. Then over on the other side, if we did only have one customer, because we charge such a high price of $1,194, we'd still have fixed costs of $30,000. We'd also have variable costs of $60, only $60 for one passenger. And our profitability would be very low, very bad. If we continue with our formula, right, then what we want to do is show that in order to get two customers, we got to charge $6 less. And the way that you punch that in, you say it's equal to the number above it, the 1194, and you subtract 6. If you punch it in as a formula like that, then it'll auto-populate in the following way. And come on down here, and then you'll see that the price of, let's say, at the price of $996, we'd have 34 customers. At the price of $930, we'd have 45 customers. And at the price of $900, is what we're analyzing in this generic example, we'd have 50 customers. So that's how you would do it through Excel and figure out how many passengers you would have. But furthermore, Excel, because it would just populate it, you not only know that value for $900, but you'd also be able to figure out the profitability of all the other prices that we might charge and what kind of profitability we might get there. And by simply learning it and filling it in, it would really benefit. So some of you are using Excel for the first time in your life. You will find it challenging to learn, but extremely rewarding because it makes or breaks candidates. You should know how to use spreadsheets. And what I have here is showing the variable cost going up by $60 every time. The total revenue is being generated by multiplying the price. Let's say if we charged that is $1,188 times 2, we'd taken that much revenue. We'd have fixed costs that would stay the same and variable costs that would increase by $60 for every passenger that we had. If we carry that all the way down to the 50th customer, we'll see that by charging $900, we'd have revenue of $45,000, fixed costs of $30,000, and variable costs of $3,000. You see how it's going up by $60 in this column, and that gives us a current profit of $12,000 per flight. And then, because we have analyzed this, we can now write our memo. When we write the memo, we want to make sure it's on company letterhead, that we follow that example that's in the memo format, that we don't make any mistakes, and we don't make any spelling or grammatical errors either. And this is what you would submit to Sam Dranitz, VP Special Projects, you yourself, Corporate Pricing Specialist, September 20th, 2022. And this particular memo is about the current profitability for the generic flight, which I'm numbering flight 000 A to B. Now, if you'll notice, there's 2 mistakes in here. And so if I submitted this, I would then grade myself at less than perfect, because the S in special should be capitalized, and there's an extraneous T right there, flight dash 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 T. Of the 2, this is a much more serious one because I'm not identifying the flight that I've analyzed very correctly. But both are pretty major mistakes. You lose your boss or the vice president that you're writing to. This is your first day on the job, and you don't know what their title is, and they get it wrong. They probably wouldn't think as much of it, but it is show that you don't know how to. You're not really up. Your attention to detail is compromised somewhat or suspect now. So be perfect if you can. Strive for perfection, and you'll get excellence. This is a bigger issue because not having the flight properly diagnosed makes them wonder if you analyze the right flight. If you don't put in the right numbers and cities, they'll wonder what this memo actually is about, whether it's the one that they think it is, or one that you made a mistake on, or what. So don't make mistakes. But here's the gist of the memo. It's on company letterhead, and it says current pricing of $900 per seat on this flight is $12,000 per flight, period. We currently sell 50 seats per flight in this market, generating revenue of $45,000 and total expenses of $33,000. These expenses include $30,000 fixed costs and $3,000 variable costs. Submit. You'll notice there's no dear, there's no thank you, there's no signature, it's not cutesy. It's just straight to the point and absolutely accurate and correct as far as that goes. Thank you. I hope this was a helpful video, and I wish you luck in your progress.